Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. When this song placed second in our Patreon poll, I thought, dag nabbit, I wanted to do some Nine Inch Nails. So I'm going to do it anyways. I am familiar with Nine Inch Nails. I've heard a few of their songs, and while I've never really remarked upon the vocals, I have noticed that the song structure and just the overall sounds are so cool. But this will be my first ever deep dive analysis, so let's get to it.
Animosity. I think you owe me a great big apology. Whoa!
We're gonna go back to the beginning. Of course, if you've seen videos on this channel before, you know that we're going to go back to the beginning and listen to it and analyze all these sweet, sweet moments. There's so much that's good that I'm getting excited about right now. And we're going to be pausing a lot. And that's a good thing, because I think that when we pause, we get that moment to appreciate something even more, so that by the time we get to the end of the song, I'm hoping that all of us will have grown in appreciation for Trent Reznor, for Nine Inch Nails, and for this song. Back to the beginning. I'll pause and talk about some of the things I loved in this first 45 seconds. Okay, so just in this initial sound, yes, this is a live performance, but of course we have some after production. I love the way we get this like, oh, boom. At one point, it's been translated to headphones into a stereo sound in a really, really cool way. Also, immediately we have this sort of very raw industrial kind of sound from Nine Inch Nails. I just love the sounds that are created. It sounds like they're just made from things that you would find in everyday life that he heard and was like, I can make music out of that. One more time. Of course, center at the first. That was a really clever way to put the title in. I actually didn't see it the first time, probably because I was so intensely focused on the vocals. One other note here before we continue. The initial sounds remind me of the Trash Can Trio, which was a group that performed regularly in Disneyland when I went there while I was growing up. They would just wheel their trash cans out like they were janitors and then suddenly start banging on them, like kind of like the Blue Man Group. But like that was in Disneyland, guys. What a cool sound. There were industrial sounds in Disneyland way back when. There's some similar things today. But anyhow, gonna keep going now. Right? I hear the Trash Can Trio.
Why are you doing this to me? Am I not living up to what I'm supposed to be? Why am I seething with this animosity? I think you owe me a great big apology.
Okay, vocals, his vocals, going into them for the first time right now, he is sending a lot of the sound just through his nose. There's a ton of nasality that's creating a sort of like whining edge. He's actually keeping it a little wide in that pharyngeal space at the same time. That's keeping an openness to the sound, but then this sort of nasal edge. And he's shifting how much air is in the actual phonation quite a bit. So sometimes there's more air escaping like this, and sometimes there's more pressed phonation like what I'm doing right now, where the vocal folds are really keeping a lot more closed time. Very interesting. Go back and we'll keep going here.
Great big apology.
I really like the sounds.
Whoa!
he's also a very intense performer. It's interesting. So he doesn't have a golden kind of vocal tone that I've heard by any means. Like, am I going to want to hear him sing Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire Christmas song? I think I'd pass on that. But there's a very particular way that he's setting his voice that works in this. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I haven't actually like remarked on the vocals from Nine Inch Nails before. He doesn't seem like someone who's really focused on the singing. He's focused on the entire sound and then sets the vocals correctly for what he's bringing to the table with his vocals. People do not need to have an incredible, like, golden kind of instrument to be successful with vocals. He's successful with vocals, and they are in a very limited range at the moment, and he's doing a ton of nasality with that, things that we wouldn't normally think of as, quote, good, but they work. And that's what really matters. So because the instruments all drop out there, his voice is able to sort of take over in that lead. I like the way there was a really interesting, not vanilla, like vanilla, but like with beans. So it's like a tiny extra spice in that chord progression. And it started to have a little more sense of melody in there a little bit too. And then it all dropped away and the voice came back in to take it over. It's again, really good setting of his voice.
I really don't know what you mean.
I like that sound too.
Seems like salvation comes only in our dreams. I feel my hatred grow all the more extreme. Can this world really be as sad as it seems?
Hey, there was some interesting distortion on top there. Huh. Ooh, I'm gonna go back to this vocal phrase and talk about a few things I find interesting in it.
Only in our dreams.
Oh, I need to go further back.
Seems like salvation comes only in our dreams.
I missed it again. There was a moment where we went, after a vocal line, and it made me realize that the way he's thinking about his vocal instrument, he's not thinking about it as primarily a driver of melody. It sounds like he's really thinking about it as different kinds of textures, almost like the same way he's thinking about industrial textures to add to the overall sound. The voice is just one more creator of sound that actually has tons of different sounds and expressions it can make. And he's using a lot of different ones in here. And there'll be a lot more, so we'll keep going.
I feel my hatred grow all the more extreme.
That is fascinating to me, what he just did. Because as he goes down, he's widening here, which can help a voice go lower, right? But widening, but he's also pressing at the same time. And creates this strained lower sound. Like it's, most people would think low sound, relax, open, bring some fluid, lots of air in. And instead, this has got angst built into it.
I feel my hatred grow all the more extreme. Can this world really be as sad as it seems?
Nice. So he clearly has the ability to have a strong belt that's going to go underneath this. But when he goes up to sad as it seems sad, it gets so much distortion on it, we almost actually lose the pitch center underneath. And that distortion distinctly sounds to me like it is coming from an upper vocal tract source, which is something I listen for and I really care about. Because if somebody is trying to make their true vocal folds make that sound, I worry that they're going to tax their voice. But if they're using a different fleshy bit that maybe isn't as fragile, and can make some of this like noise on top, it's almost like distortion that I would put on a guitar, right? This is this kind of sound, adding it to above a pitch, like in that sound creation process. is exciting to me, and it's another way to bring in extra expression. That's a great way, I think, to add aggression to a song. It's exciting. Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit.
All the more extreme. Can this world really be as sad as it seems?
And we've heard this over and over in Terrible Lie, where I'm hearing a rougher vocal sound. And I kept thinking, how is that created? And obviously there's backup singers here too. They might actually be creating that sound in a different way for each person. We need a lot more data to know how this kind of sound texture is consistently created. We literally just don't have the research to know how tons of people create the same kind of sound right now. But that being said, the way I heard him soloize there, that sounded like upper constriction. And now I'm thinking every time that Terrible Lie comes up, that's probably what's going into his sound creation.
Someone to hold on to. Don't tear away from me. I need you to hold on to. Please, please. Oh, I need someone to hold on to. Don't tear away from
That was gripping. I love the way that everything was pulled back. And this is one of the things I've seen or heard in a couple other Nine Inch Nails songs, that there is a just masterful composition built around tension and release. The way that we feel like normally at this point in the song, we'd continually get bigger and love out more sound. And instead what happened is it got quieter, but the intensity ramped up. His performance reminds me a little bit of Chester Bennington live performances. There's something there in just that emotional intensity. Wow. Okay. I'm actually just crazy excited right now to get to be diving into his voice like this for the first time.
Someone to hold on to. Don't tear away from me. I need you to hold on to. Please, please. Oh, I need.
So the sounds that he is creating here, the way that they are pressed, almost, it sounds like there's so much squeezing that's happening at times in his vocal tract. And that is exactly the kind of sound that a person in massive distress would make, right? That it is not pretty. There are definitely times where it is not pitch perfect, and that is totally intentional. And I think that this makes so much sense for somebody who is in the kind of pain that the lyrics are describing. It is crazy how much the intensity actually went up when they got quieter here, and that's mostly due to this super crazy intense vocal expression.
I need someone to hold on to. Don't tear away from me. I need you to hold on to.
I want to give him a hug.
Please. Oh, I need someone to hold on to. Don't tear away from me. I need you to hold on to. Don't tear away from me. I need someone to hold on to. Hold on to. Don't tear it, please. Don't tear it, please. Don't take it, don't take it. There's nothing left.
Oh my gosh. The guitars, just the ferocity there, the pitch slides, the intensity of the music, and the way that got topped, or that the music intensity went on top of that vocal intensity. This is crazy. I realized just now that I have not been breathing very well. Oh boy.
There's nothing left for me.
Whoa.
I've lost my ignorance, security.
Okay. I've heard many times that people say like, oh, Nine Inch Nails, nothing to dial home about. And they're wrong. They're wrong. Yes, I have not remarked on the vocals before. Seeing this is my first time ever seeing a live performance as well. I should have paid way more attention to vocals in the couple songs I listened to before. And that's because I don't know how big his range is. He doesn't sound like he's a super rangy singer, but he's using this super limited range and going to extremes with the timbral expression, with the timbral shifts, times when things are squeezed, when they are wide, how much air is coming through versus how much pressing there is of the vocal folds together. It's actually pretty wild how drastically he's moving between different kinds of timbres just at this sound source creation.
There's nothing left for me.
Like right there, you have a lot of close quotient there. There's a lot of pressing, a lot more full closure, and then immediately went to this very kind of sound that's so airy, it's actually probably difficult to sustain that kind of phonation. That's just an example of one big opposite that he did in a small amount of time.
There's nothing left for me to hide. I've lost my
It's extreme.
ignorance, security. I'm all alone in this fucking world you must despise.
Wow.
I believed your promises and lies.
My brain and my ears like to get lost in the electronic sounds that start to happen in there, the different synths, the way that they're moving, and then you have this big bass it feels like a very heavy rock bass that's happening. Those two things together they fill out that entire spectrum, all of these frequencies. It feels like they're all going ping, 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 ping. And I feel like I can almost just mentally get lost in it. I also really love the repetitive patterns in it. It feels mathematical a lot of times, and my brain loves math. I know I'm a geek in that way, but just loves math, and I love patterns. So that's probably one of the reasons why this music has a lot of appeal to me. But really, I think it's more than anything about the push and pull of the tension and the building of it, and then the release, and this sort of it feels like such a physical experience to listen to this song. Back one more time. We'll keep going. Nice distortion. Wow. It actually sounds like there's just static that's being funneled into the right now. Oh, I think that's a synth with some fuzz on top. Wow. I have 3 things. I'm going to try and remember them all. First of all, he is doing some heavy singing. This is intense, and I'm impressed by the endurance of this. Two, that distortion continues to sound real good. Like, real good. In the past, I've not been as much into distortion in voice, probably because I was singing opera all the time and was told that it's bad for you. It's not bad for you if you do it the right way. And when I hear it like this, I get really excited because it's got so much aggression to it. A lot of pressure, I think, from the breath is going to go into creating that sound. But again, we need so much more research. I'm working on it, guys. Okay? Just know I am working on that in every single way I can. I want more research for extreme vocals, harsh vocals, distortion. We don't even have the right definitions for these words. I want more research for it. I'm working on it. Okay. His distortion sounds awesome. And then last thing, he is sweating so much. Oh my word. That kind of sweat, that's fluid leaving your body, right? You probably knew that. But think about the dehydration that occurs and how much water he probably needs to continue drinking on stage to be able to do some of these things. Just because he might be using a different fleshy bit for distortion doesn't mean that he doesn't still need to make a pitch sometimes. And to do that with the most efficiency possible, there's lots of research that backs this one up. More water makes phonation easier. So better hydration, easier phonation. And that, we don't even know how that begins to affect the distortion bits. So there's so much I'm excited about in here, guys. I'm so glad that we decided to go ahead with this. I decided to go ahead with this, even though y'all said second place. Thank you. So nice. Oh my gosh, his vocals are great. It was like animalistic and fun at the same time. Also, the main reason I stopped was because before that, I was listening to these like cool electric sounds, especially they're leftish in my headphones right now. I love the way that some of them are slightly detuned. If they weren't, they wouldn't have drawn so much attention. But because they're very slightly off, they feel more raw and they stick out of the texture really well. Okay, back right before that really awesome vocal moment. I want so much to be So he went up into like a lighter register with some of that distortion on top in there. And it sounds like it might actually become even easier. Though, I would want to do some testing on that. I really would love to see down his throat. Oh, I know, it's not just a fascination. It's truly for science. I want so much to be Right? That's what I'm talking about. That kind of distortion, but vocals. The build in here is glorious. The intensity is glorious. And I think we're going to get a little more vocals possibly on this one. It's beautiful and deadly at the same time. That pitch bend. Ugh. destructive. Let's go back one more time. I want one more time. And this is why I think it's really good to pay attention to what things are repetitive and have become sort of normalized to our ears here. There's some things underneath that are also holding like glue together of the song, which are a little bit more consonant. And then there's so much dissonance that's being added on top, things that are being pushed out of the pitch. There's a lot of slides, a lot of distortion, and all kinds of instruments here. And it feels like it's about to just pull apart, that is going to fray apart. And it's so intense and glorious. Gosh, it's like too much to start in the middle of sometimes. Wow. Ah, sorry, Mike. R.I.P. He was like, I don't need no water. I can sing through these dehydrated vocal folds. All this sweat, it's, probably been built up over an entire concert. Maybe that was the ending song. I don't know, but it was amazing. And my appreciation of Nine Inch Nails has just skyrocketed, especially for Trent Reznor's vocals. Oh my goodness. We need to talk a lot more about those. We need to do so much more vocal research. If you want to see some other moments where I was just wowed by vocals going into a place I never thought that they could go, you can check out this playlist over here, and may you fall more in love with music every day.